Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Country with the weekly comic book roundup. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everyone. This is the first roundup of 2022, though we're focusing on the last books released in 2021 because, hey, time's funny like that, right? Anyways, let's get started, shall we? We'll kick things off with Amazing Spider-Man number 83. Where we left off, while Ben Reilly is employed by the Beyond Corporation as their Spider-Man, Peter Parker is convalescing after being put into a coma during an attack by the UFOs at Empire State University. An attack which seems to have been masterminded by Riley's new employers. So the issue begins with Ben's girlfriend Janine enjoying a dip in the pool on the roof of the Beyond Tower, the penthouse infinity pool at the Beyond Tower. But elsewhere, Peter is working on recovery. Physical therapy isn't exactly... he's got physical therapy coming up, and MJ sent him a text to encourage him. Felicia also sent a text saying that she likes watching him sleep. He apparently was on some really good meds and texted Aunt May. And also bid on some things online and, well, won. But his spider sense goes off. And he has a memory from his childhood, but later the physical therapy nurse comes back and he says he's not going to give up. He's going to do the work, but he ends up putting among the things he ordered were a replica Spider-Man suit and web shooters. Puts it on, goes out and does to just kind of enjoy being in his comfort zone. Of course, he tries to stop a crime, but yeah. He's not wearing his gear, so to say that he gets messed up is putting it lightly. But Cap saves him. And he reminisces more about his childhood and when he apparently had a Captain America figure. And also we have a memory of, which also ties to a memory of Uncle Ben. But, kind of, I guess, he's reconciling being both Peter and Spider-Man. But it was a good issue. I'm glad. As much as I have enjoyed the fun of the Beyond arc, I'm glad to see the book focus back on Peter, show how he's recovering. Anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Detective Comics number 1046. Where we left off, Fear State ended. Batman and the Bat family defeated the Scarecrow, thwarted his plans, as well as also thwarted the plans of Simon Saint. And, yeah. Apparently, in other Bat books, it's being reported that Batman is being celebrated in Gotham again. which has been kind of a rarity of late for him. So the issue begins. There's apparently been a security call at a condominium complex. Batman shows up on the scene. Spoiler, however, manages to catch, figure out who's involved, and almost gets run over for it. But so the culprit, a woman by the name of Anna Volshin, turns out the Bat family has some history with her. They had her on murder. They found the fingers of 6 different murder victims in her freezer, and she confessed. But according to, as Oracle explains to Batwoman, the case was overturned. But the big thing is the Arkham Tower project. But spoiler goes to talk about what happened with Huntress, who's still having visions from from her infection with the Hugh Vile parasite. Dr. Chase Masterson has been employed by the mayor, and in fact will be basically keeping the Arkham Tower staff in line and keeping the mayor apprised of the goings on there. Deb Donovan passes along some names about the Arkham Tower staff to Batwoman. Dr. Tobias Ware, who appears to be doing the most handshaking and talking, and Dr. Ocean. Batwoman asks who they are, and Deb simply says no idea. But she's having a hell of a time getting a solid history on either of them. But later on, Deb passes by the construction zone for Arkham Tower and says that she does not have a good feeling about it at all. But spoiler suggests that maybe Batman's having parasitic-induced visions too, like Huntress. That maybe that's why he's leaving Gotham. But before leaving, Batman talks with Chase Masterson. It's kind of confirmed that maybe Batman had a little bit of use some influence to get not Masterson, Meridian, Chase Meridian. Chase Masterson's an actress, not a Batman character. But Meridian turns out got the job in part due to Batman's influence, and she's also going to be Batman's ideas in the tower. He states that until he comes back, the city's fate rests on her shoulders. In the backup story, turns out that the vagrant within the Arkham Tower construction zone is a former inmate of the asylum, He states that Arkham Asylum wasn't a place for people like him, people who made mistakes but weren't bad people. Arkham was a place for villains and Halloween costumes with superhero abilities. A place for the guys who might not even be entirely human. But he's recounting all this to Harley Quinn and Batman. But and while Batman is firmly against Arkham Tower, he asks if Harley really thinks that Arkham should give another chance, and she kind of reminds him that, you know, Batman gave her a chance. And she even says that it's kind of like the chicken and the egg, only with a homicidal clown in an asylum. Arkham didn't make the Joker the Joker. Arkham only became Arkham once a whole bunch of costume supervillains got locked up in there. And she adds, if Arkham Tower is meant to be a public space to help heal Gotham, then maybe it's worth, you know, whatever happens. But as the tower nears completion, though, Harley, Batman, and the former patient watch, and the patient quotes Poe, I looked upon the scene before me, upon the mere house, and the simple landscape features of the domain, from the fall of the House of Usher. But he states that it was very popular in Arkham after the original architect was found reciting the strike and murdering his entire construction crew. Batman notes that there's a story about a cursed mansion with evil living in its walls. Harley states that maybe Poe should have gone to therapy. However, Batman decides that Arkham Tower is not that mansion or that Arkham. It is a second chance. And that is where the issue ends. Which, I think, if I remember correctly, starting actually this month, Decisive Comics is going weekly with a story entitled Shadows of the Bat, which will be focusing on Arkham Tower. And we move on to our next book, though, Harley Quinn number 10. And a quick review, yes, I like this. It was the detective main story of Detective made for an interesting tale. You know, setting up that, yeah, Batman won't be present in the Batman books, at least not in Gotham, in a Gotham sense. So, in Fear State, Ivy was restored to the poison ivy we all know and love, especially with Harley's help. And it seemed they were working on getting back together. So the issue begins with Keepsake and Hugo Strange meeting at the Lovers Bridge outside of Gotham, and Strange. Basically, Keepsake is trying to blackmail Strange, but Strange shoots him and knocks him into the Gotham River, where someone fishes him out, though. But at Harley's apartment, she's waiting for Ivy to show up. She does. They're going to an art exhibit called Art After Dark. And where they meet with Kevin and Sam, who I'm fairly certain is Bluebird, is also the member of the Batman known as Bluebird, but could be wrong. Harley meets Sam and accidentally spills Sam's drink, and yeah, it's kind of a mess. But Ivy takes Harley elsewhere in the museum and gives her a history lesson about the friendship called the Fleur-de-Lis. Had a gift intended to secure a marriage and a treaty between England and France, but it never arrived. It just disappeared. The gift, however, is at the museum that night. The Rose Diamond. And Ivy suggests they steal it. But, well, Harley's trying to just be, no, I'm not, I don't do that anymore. Security shows up. Ivy reacts in classic Ivy form. Harley's hand gets cut over by one of the thorny vines, and Kevin and Sam take care of her, though. And while Ivy laments things went the way that Harley got hurt. Kevin walks Sam home, and she refers to him as her boyfriend, which makes Kevin incredibly happy. However, he is promptly taken at gunpoint by the still wounded keepsake. Later that night at one of the docks, Ivy comes to meet Harley, and Ivy wanted to steal the diamond, basically, to finance them getting out of Gotham for good. And, but Harley tells her that, and, sure, Harley had changed, but, she never asked if Ivy wanted to change, so. But they talk, and Harley states that Ivy was right. Harley had decided what she wanted and never even gave Ivy a chance to talk about it with her. Harley wanted to pick up right where things left off, but while Ivy had been in the ground, Harley's been on a personal journey, and she's changed. She had some dice and wrote her a letter, saying the letter's for her to read for when she gets where she's going. But there's the only red and black thing that you get by at the convenience store across from the hospital. Her options were limited to 2 in the morning. But she talked about how the best path. Harley tells Ivy that it took her years to figure out her path and what was best for her. And she took so many wrong turns along the way, and she'll probably make at least 20 more, maybe even 30. But the best path she ever took was the one that led her to Ivy. And she says that Ivy needs to find her own path, and that Harley has to let her because she loves her. They kiss as the issue ends. It's a really good issue, and there was a lot of what Harley said to Ivy was honestly stuff I personally kind of needed to hear about, concerning other things I'm not going to go into here. But anyway, moving on to our next book, we've got Justice League number 70. Where we left off, someone had stolen the Fortress of Solitude. That's just a regular thing. And Mark Shaw, leader of Leviathan, had popped in to talk to the Royal Flush Gang. Basically, he explains that he has utmost respect for them and he wants them to join him, but they're not interested. Meanwhile, Superman and Black Adam, as well as Hippolyta, are trying to figure out what's become of the fortress. And we get an idea of what's in there. The Phantom Projector, Baby Sun Eater, a giant steel diary, a Legion flight ring, a Red Sun chamber, Kryptonian battlesuit armory. The Titanic is literally in there. There's also an alien zoo. While the Royal Flush Gang were stealing the fortress, they took videos, because, yeah. But in the previously, turns out that the Royal Flush Gang turned down Marshaw's offer, and their big heist. It's going to be one of those they can disappear forever type of gigs. And a big part is going to be stealing the fortress. So the old giant key to the fortress is found, and Superman goes to investigate. It's a trap, and he's attacked by Ace of the Royal Flush Gang. The two of them duke it out, and the Justice League does show up to help. And King tries to access some of the systems of the fortress, and possibly it opens portal doors, which Batman exclaims he found the fortress, but it's too late. And we've got an additional backup story, more with Justice League Dark. This takes place before the annual. It came out a month ago. They're still in Atlantis dealing with Merlin. The Upside Down Man is kind of taking root with Zatanna. So basically it's all about stopping Merlin and saving Zatanna. And now among Merlin's allies is Arion, who is from Atlantis' past. And Dr. Fate explains that he's seeing the future and loses some of his sight every time he glimpses it. But he's enough to know that if Arion stands by Merlin's side, only death and ruin will come of it. But Merlin and Arion depart. A newly arrived Wonder Woman, as well as Constantine, are able to help Zatanna, and it looks like they've got more to do. That is where the issue ends. I'm hoping that the next issue's backup will basically kind of serve as more of a lead-in to the events of the recent Justice League Dark Annual. Anyway, that's to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.